Bringing us to some draft grades presented by Lexus is Marc Ross back with us here. Chiefs needed a receiver. They get the fastest guy in draft combine history. Does this lead to a no-brainer grade? What do you think?
I almost gave him an A+. We'll go with the A. Xavier Worthy wasn't this fast on the 40 patch. This man is explosive on the field, maybe the most explosive receiver on the field that I scouted. But it wasn't just him. They get Kingsley Suamatai from BYU. Andy Reid, a big former offensive lineman from BYU. You get a win with the head coach, you can't go wrong. But even going deeper, Jared Wiley, the tight end out of TCU. We know Kelsey signed the contract. What better way to get an athletic tight end to then go learn from Kelsey? And then even the sleeper of the draft, Jaden Hicks, the safety hybrid from Washington State, who I know my man Steve Spagnuolo and defensive back coach Dave Merritt are going to love using him as a chess piece in that secondary. They really crushed it.
All right, rich get richer. We're the Super Bowl champions. Start here in the AFC West. Let's go to Jim Harbaugh's team. The Los Angeles Chargers, they start in the trenches with Joe Alt. What does that get them grade-wise?
Well, he's got the identity, right? Harbaugh just kept talking about love O-line, love O-line, love O-line. What did he do? He took the best O-lineman in the draft. So that's a win right there, but then follows it up with Ladd McConkey, a receiver. We know that Herbert lost his playmakers there. And so let's get Ladd McConkey in the mix. But then Harbaugh talking about an identity. Well, let me bring my middle linebacker from Michigan, Junior Colson, in the fold too to show what this tough Michigan temperament is all about. And even going so deep in the 5th round with corner Cam Hart from Notre Dame, who I think is an ultimate sleeper, super underrated, could end up being a starter. So, of course, Alt highlights it, but another deep, versatile draft.
And we've come a long way since the Broncos hype of old, and now they get a quarterback in the 1st round in Bo Nix. What grade does that get them?
Just a C, Patrick. Sorry, can only go with the C. You know, I know Sean Payton and his system and the way that the quick passing game, Bo Nix really fit that. So give him a C for that. But I just don't believe that Bo Nix can compete with those last 2 quarterbacks we were just talking about, Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes. Of course not. So only a C because I think that's kind of where they'll be in the C range if everything goes right. You know, outside of that, I do like the Jonah Ellis pick out of Utah, the pass rusher that they got in the 3rd round. And Troy Franklin was a good value, a guy that kind of slid in the draft process, but played with Bo Nix. So we'll give them a little bit of a package deal there, but still only a C.
And that's a C based on what they currently have. But if they take a different approach, is it that they stuck around and picked a quarterback there? If they trade up, does that change the grade? Or was this the circumstance that led the Broncos here?
Yeah, I just think that's just where they got stuck, and maybe Peyton really just wanted Nix. As I said, what he did well, the short passing game, getting it out quick. Of course, we saw Drew Brees flourish like that, but you got to come out of that too, Pat. You got to make big-time plays too to compete, especially in your own division with those guys.
There was another team picking in that range in the Las Vegas Raiders. Perhaps wanted a quarterback. They were all gone by the time the Raiders got on the clock. What does that lead to as they take the tight end out of Georgia? One of the best that we've seen recently in the draft. And Brock Bowers, what grade did they get, Mark?
Antonio Pierce was a captain on our Super Bowl team in 2007, so I'm going to be a little bit lenient and helpful with the C-. I could have gone worse, but as you talked about the QB carousel there, and they got left out of it. They didn't get anybody. No musical chairs. They had no chair left there, and I just think even with Brock Bowers, they took Myers out of Notre Dame last year at the same position, and the value of tight ends. I don't think you need 2 guys really in the mix there, especially with a quarterback that you need to develop. And then Jackson Powers-Johnson in the 2nd round. Is he going to play guard? Is he going to play center? But took 2 positions that really the value isn't that great. Both decent players, but I don't think it really changes much with the Raiders and how they'll compete with the top 2 in the division, Patrick.
And as far as draft grade-wise, it's rough when the Super Bowl champions come away with the only A in the division. Everybody else looking up, chasing Kansas City as in their defense. The rest of the
I
league
gave the Chargers an A. I gave them an A as well, Patrick.
The Chargers do get an A. The Chargers get an A. It's tough. They didn't win the Super Bowl last year. It was just the problem. Which is the problem for the Chargers. The problem for everybody else in the league included. Those will look at the AFC West draft grades, courtesy of Marc Ross.